All right, all right, all right. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, my king.
What's the deal, family? What's happening?
Not much. I know we back.
Yup, Shabbat shalom. You know,
Took some weeks off, but
just a couple. Had to be
Hotep.
Abu Ragati.
Shalom alaikum.
Yes.
Wa alaikum salam.
Love and light.
Light and love.
Okay.
Namaste.
Namaste.
That's what's up. Well, glad to be back this week.
Yeah, it is, man.
Yeah, man.
I missed y'all, brothers.
Likewise.
Likewise, brother.
Miss edification of the people. So it's all good. Glad we back though.
Yeah, we got some more edifying to do this week.
Yeah.
We're gonna go ahead and finish up who is fourth principle. So without any further ado, we're gonna get straight off into it.
All right, cool. Cool with me. Because since we putting up the videos and stuff, actually I think a lot of people kind of enjoyed it because those been hitting kind of well. Actually, I put the full video up a couple of days ago and it's doing pretty well.
That's what's up. I have to go rewatch the whole thing. It always hits different when you watch it. For me, anyway.
Indeed. Want to thank our guest, Kia, for hosting for us today.
Okay.
Her Hebrew
Hold on,
name is
sis.
Kia.
Okay.
Facts. All right.
That's it.
I am the headless voice today.
Yeah.
Say it
Put
again?
you off camera.
The headless voice.
A headless voice.
The headless voice.
Indubitably.
It's all good.
All right, let's get it. What you got for us today?
All right, so we are picking up where we left off last time. Really just
Right.
touching on you all's belief systems and your personal values. So I'll just kick it off with the first question. What led you to your current spiritual belief system?
Wow. Okay, I go first. I don't think it was just one thing. It's just is a way of searching for the creator. I would say that, which is the whole totality of my experience of where I'm at now. It doesn't necessarily say that this is any other person's way. This is just totally my way on searching for the creator. And me searching for the creator, and trust me, y'all, it was only 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, that I know what God is now, instead of I believe in God or I'm searching for God. So I know God now. It's not a belief to me anymore. And like I say, it's just not one thing. It's the whole totality of me searching for that one particular thing. I mean, I can go on
Go on.
because I can go all the way down to, my grandmother picking me up for church, bringing me to church and stuff like that. My father encouraging me to go to church and things like that. But what happened was certain things I was reading at a point in time led me to me understanding me being an Israelite, or what they would call a Hebrew Israelite. And that made the wheel spin, and that totally set the motion into play. A lot of people didn't like it, and maybe because they didn't like it, because they probably just didn't understand it. Because, like I say, my path is my path. Everybody else has a different path on what they're going through. You know, you may find your truth in Christianity. I don't know. You may know God in Christianity. I don't know. I didn't find it there. When I left there, I thought I found it. But something else came in when I started understanding that I was an Israelite. I was still believing in God instead of knowing God. But one of my mores, you know, he think different sometimes, and he kind of encourage you to go question things, and and in me, I'm questioning certain things. So, and those are I would say, that led me to where I'm at today, and in my spiritual growth and knowing the Creator instead of believing the Creator. And why I say it like that is because a lot of people believe in God. They don't know God or the Creator or what have you. And to me, belief is really subjective. It doesn't give me any kind of substance to believe in anything, because I can sit here and say, well, I believe in my mama. No, I don't believe in mama. I know my mama. You know, I don't do those things. I don't mess with that word too much, too often. So it's a knowing thing for me. And that's where I'm at today.
I got a follow-up question. So we've heard about your journey to becoming an Israelite, and now you're talking about this kind of shifting your journey, and you talked about reading. What did you read or expose yourself to on your initial journey, and then what kind of led to where you are now?
Right. I would say the first thing that I was really reading was the Bible. At that time, I was, like I said, I was in church going, and I said, you know what, I need to read the book, because I was going to church and wasn't reading the book like a lot of people do. But I started reading the book and started listening, and that's when it came across me. Like, hold up, what did that just say? And you know, most people would probably say Deuteronomy chapter 28. That's really, truly what happened to me. I was listening to that in my car driving, and it really snapped something inside me. And I had to go look, and I searched it out. And like I say, I ran across some brothers on the internet that was teaching the same thing that I was understanding at the time. And that's what came, got the wheels turning into understanding who I was as a people. But with that, it's still a journey. It's still a journey, and still studying, still researching, because still in the back of your mind, you don't know if you're an Israelite or a Hebrew, truly, but you have to go get those breadcrumbs and turn over every leaf that you find and flip them over and see what's in there. And that's where I'm at today.
Okay.
No answer.
I know this is supposed to be like a intro to each one of us, so I know us we could be long-winded sometimes, so I'm gonna try to keep it as short as possible. But I'll say a couple things real quick. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And that's a quote from a book called The Course in Miracles. So first and foremost, I believe in no thing or nothing. I question everything. I know what I've been given, and even that is a distortion of the truth. I share perspectives, for all are one. The question was, what got me here?
The question was, what led you to your current spiritual belief system?
Okay, a lot. A lot. But I've always been a seeker. I've always, grew up in Christianity. A lot of the things are parallel to Zokaim, grandmother, spiritual backbone of the family, at least matrilineage, meaning through my mother on my mother's side. Went to a lot of different churches. Joined the military at 18. The search increased. Reading the Bible, Quran, and I think I've mentioned this before, Gita, the Book of the Tao. I think I was 18 when I actually read 18 or 19. so many different things, so many different paths, aliens, conspiracy theories, all of that. All of that is all a part of it. But ultimately, I'm just going to fast forward past a lot of it because a lot of these details will come out more as we do the podcast, I think. Several years ago, I had a spiritual awakening. At the time, I was a teacher at an assembly, and it just became a little difficult to function at what I would say, and this is no hit on anybody, at a limited perspective in the paradigm. It was trying to take everything that was being given to me, and I'm speaking for me specifically because just like Zokane said, we may say we're Hebrews, we may say we're Christian, we may say we're Muslim, but that expression of belief is unique to the individual. So you have the religion of you. So I say what was given to me because, Christians will say it's your personal experience. It's your personal experience. Right. And then others will say, no, it's a collective experience. Both are right. But it's going to start with your personal first. So my personal experiences as I was going through, a whole lot of information was coming to me and I didn't know what it was. And now I know it was a spiritual awakening. So it's right now I stand in the position of a culmination of all the information that I've ever experienced. And now it's just expressed to me as one thing. So that being said, it's like I really I don't believe in anything. Meaning that everything, and you have to follow the wordplay, everything that's matter, everything matters, but I don't believe in everything because everything are constructs, ideas, people's thoughts, people's stories. Even when you experience something, it's still your take on the experience. Uh-huh. So I believe that we're all sovereign expressions of the one infinite creator. I believe, well, I don't say I believe, I know that for myself. Let me correct myself. I know that. Yeah. That's what's been given to me as far as a knowing. Now, when it comes to belief, everybody has their own unique way that they believe in a thing, person, place, or thing, or whatever the case may be. So the journey has been very interesting and it's still continuing. Here in the fourth principle, I pray that we can convey a message of unity to all people, right? All walks of life, all genders, all of that stuff, because we're all one. And through the journey, it's like a lot of people try to hold on to specialness. And if that's the case, then everybody's special, which means nobody's special at the same time. Fourth principle. So I don't know if that answered the question, but like I said, I'm trying to cut through a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So 2 things you said that stuck out when you were talking. You said during your spiritual awakening, there was a lot of information that was coming at you. And when you initially started, you made the comment, I question everything.
Yes.
Which takes me to a place of trust but verify.
Right.
What recommendation or advice would you have for people that feel as though they have a lot of information coming at them as well?
That depends on your paradigm of what you so for me, so let me tackle the trust but verify. First and foremost, if you're in a Christian construct or a Hebrew construct or any construct that's dealing with a Bible or Torah or I'm not sure the Quran, but
literary text,
some type of literary text that kind of somewhere along the lines in it implores you to try the spirit or everything that's not from this book is it's evil or whatever. You're gonna always come from that paradigm first. You're gonna come from the paradigm of belief that you're in or wherever you're at first. So for me, that was the hard part. It's like you're dealing with a pendulum or something, and then it's talking to you. It's spelling words out. It's like, whoa, is this evil? That's just from that perspective. I've met people that they don't have a spiritual belief, but family members may be religious or something, and they're like, yo, I really stayed away from that. It's like I implore people to get a meditation routine, a regime, because in meditation you clear a lot of the noise, your brain chatter or thoughts, because thoughts aren't yours. They're just
Facts.
energies and information that's flowing through your mind space. So a meditation regime, prayer to whatever you call your deity, Yahweh, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, Christ, Jesus, whatever. Prayer, a communication with, and then the meditation is a listening to. And in meditation, you'll be able to discern your thoughts from not what's not your thoughts. And it's like a small, still voice. It may sound like you. It may sound like a distinctive, different voice, but it's looking for that discernment. And discernment resonates in your heart space. We say heart chakra in the modalities that I deal with now, or the understanding that I have now. You'll feel a difference in your entire being when something resonates with you versus when something does not. It feels tight. Your heart feels free. So it's knowing your baseline, if you want to say emotional state, consciousness state, or you say mental state. It's knowing that. So when it's a shift, when you have a question or you're looking for understanding, that you can feel it in your entire being. Because contrary to popular belief, what you see physically is just one aspect or one layer of what's really there. As far as you got, that's a whole nother conversation. And energetic bodies and so on and so forth. So meditate and pray for discernment. Right. And then feel and listen for what comes to you.
All right. So Malak, what led you to your current spiritual belief system?
Yeah. So there were several things that took place within myself, and I actually had wrote a lot of this stuff down. One thing that I really had to deal with was since I started out with going to church and stuff like that, and reading the Bible and so on and so forth. I had a routine of doing things like that, and they pretty much were my foundation at one point in time. But I remember asking myself, how do I transform my soul into an instrument that sees into the spiritual world? When I got to the point of I came into some understanding about being an Israelite, that had a significant influence in my life. And I remember materially wanting to do everything to the strictest of the letter. And I had to learn a lot through that. And that really wasn't balanced for me, because as I sifted through some of the symbology in my physical experience, right, I was able to make a connection to what was drawing me to the spiritual world. I knew that I needed to develop a healthy sense of truth, because kind of like what I stated 2 weeks ago, and what I learned is that I really couldn't validate my sense of truth through the reactions of other people. So in other words, it's like, well, if everybody's nodding their head north and south, then it must be right. But I was in conflict with that because it wasn't really relative to the experience that I was having in my life. Even though it sounded right, you know what I mean? Like, it didn't feel right. And, we've talked about this before, but in the podcast, but I, in hindsight, I look back, I was primed in a certain way, right, to respond to certain things. So I get to the point where we would do Torah portions seasonally, right? And oh, yes, you about to say something?
For those who don't know what a Torah portion
Oh yeah,
is.
so Torah portions are just subsequent passages in the Bible. All right. And the Torah, it deals specifically with the, let's just say, like the legal element of the Bible. So from Genesis to Deuteronomy, right? You got the Torah or the law. So we would go through that seasonally, and we would do things like that, very, very routine like. But again, as my understanding was growing, as I was being open to more things spiritually, right? The consistency to the letter of the law, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't really aligned with that thought, you know what I'm saying? Like it didn't align with my experience as I developed. So I began to I had to start questioning stuff. And I had to really go into some places where like I was really thinking about like, man, like, what I'm doing. Because for me, what's unique to my makeup is that, when I close my eyes, I see stuff. You know what I mean? That's just the bottom line. Like I see things. And I got to a point where I was really, really working on myself to discern the symbology, in what I would see, in my conscious mind. Which it takes me back to the question I asked: how do I transform my soul, to become an instrument that sees into the spiritual world? And as I began to orient my focus there, the less I start, I became less connected to material expression. In the sense of, if you want to say religion, or a customary framework that fits somewhat of a redacted expression contained in the Bible. And as that advanced, I allowed myself to be open to more things spiritually. And from that point on, it's just been a consistent journey for me.
Okay. So you are someone who typically has a legal mindset. You're very black and white. One would say the scriptures are black and white.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your advice to someone who's coming to you saying they are starting to question what they're reading? Someone who comes to you and feels as though what I'm reading contradicts itself. Well, how would you respond, or what advice would you give someone?
One thing that you're going to see in that context is that legally, things generally say the same thing. What I would say is that, if you're in doubt, right, about things contradicting themselves, keep reading. Right? Keep reading until you get to a place where you have achieved the internal balance for what you're intaking. Right? Know where you can comfortably go to the next subject matter. Because what'll happen is like, one thing that happened with me, I realized that I was going in circles with the same information. Right? And in some senses, right, it did edify my thinking process, right? But in others, I became very stagnated. So in an effort not to do that, I think that you have to know and you have to remain conscious about the information you intake. You have to see how that plays out in your expression of an experience, whatever that is, right? And when you've gained the necessary balance and information to move forward, then you do so as you need to.
All right. So Zokane, you touched on this a little bit, but you said you got to a point where you were searching for God or the Creator, and now you know.
Right.
So, can you describe your understanding of divine or higher power in your current belief system?
Yes, I can. I would say the creator, or if you want to say God, or whatever name you want to put on it, I would say it's all things.
Mm-hmm.
Anything, like it states in the Quran, it says anywhere you look is the face of God, and that's in the Quran. And I'm not subject just to reading one book. I read multiple books. I listen to multiple books, and what I found out was the books was saying the same thing about what God is.
Mm-hmm.
It all came down to it's all things. It's all everything you can see, everything you can touch, anything you can taste. It's the creator. Anything you breathe in, it's the creator. It's the energy that goes forth throughout this earth, throughout this universe and other universes. It's that energy.
I like how you keep coming from a perspective of having exposure to multiple avenues of information.
Yeah.
So, for someone, again, giving advice to the listeners who feel like it's too much information,
Uh-huh.
how are you helping them to get to a point to say, okay, take your time or continue to review what you have coming in?
Right. I would say pick your battles. So if all the information I bring to you is too much, let's just deal let's deal with some kindergarten books first. There's some kindergarten books out there that little children read that expresses and tell you what the creator is. I forgot the name of a book. It's about a tree. It's about a tree and a little boy. And the little boy wanted something more in life, and he wanted to be big. So he always went to this tree, and the tree would talk to him, and the tree would tell him, well, cut this limb down, cut this limb off of me, and you can get what you want. These are the expression of the creator right there. It's feeding each other. It's energy that's elevating each other's mind. The tree is elevating his mind, helping him to get what he needs in life. And in that book, I forgot the name of the book, but anyway, it's in the book at the ending of the book, the tree is gone because he used up all the resources of the tree. And now he's sad because the tree is gone. Not because he can't get what he want anymore. He missed the tree because he had a relationship with it. And that's how I would say that's how you should have a relationship with the creator. The creator ain't going nowhere because it's all things. And when you touch each and every aspects of the creator, then you would know that's what it is. But in general, what I would say, let's take our time. If you want to deal with the Bible or the Tanakh or the Torah, let's start there. But if you don't want that, we can start in the book of Gavita, or Indian text. We can start there. We can start in the Buddha text. We can start I don't care what. Somebody go downstairs and give me a book right now, and I'll show you the creator in it. It's all there. Even if the pages is the creator, because the pages come from the tree, which is the tree is the creator. So I would say let's start where it's comfortable for you to start at.
Got it. Who's next?
Whoever you call.
All right, let's go, Malak.
Yeah, say the question again.
All right. Can you describe your understanding of the divine or higher power in your belief system?
Yeah, for me, it has become relatively simple. The creator is everything that I experience on both ends of the spectrum. Whatever I would consider to be everything I set my face to. Even if I don't agree with what I'm saying. And at this current stage in my life, it's dealing with that expression of the creator. Right? So for an example, right, for people that read the Bible, for an example, right? It's written in the text that there were different stages where people, nations, right? They all experienced the creator in a context that was relative for their space of awareness. Right? So somebody could perceive the creator as nourishment. Or somebody could perceive the creator as I'm gonna use this term, a battle axe. Where, you gotta go through the same things over and over and over again. Right? But it's still an expression of the creator. That there is no separation in that idea of how I understand the creator now. It is the element that causes to exist. However you want to understand that. That's what the creator is to me.
So when you come from that standpoint of whatever the creator is for you,
Mm-hmm.
and you get in these situations or you get in rooms or you have these conversations with people who have different point of views of what the creator is to them, and it becomes confrontational. What's your advice in those situations?
Well, what I would recommend is that I would encourage people to detach themselves from confrontation. I have, if we want to start at a point with the literary text, I've never seen anything written that says that the creator is confrontational. Confrontation is rooted. Excuse me, did I say that right? Okay. Confrontation is rooted in the egoic space of creation. I don't contend that the spiritual essence of the creator is confrontational in any regard. So if things become confrontational, right, I think that's largely in part because of an assimilation to you expect for people to express it one kind of way. Right? Nothing in nature looks the same, smells the same, grows the same, acts the same. Nothing in, I can't really say that anything in our experience, enforces an opinion that the creator is confrontational. So in the context of your question, detach yourself from confrontation. It doesn't have to be. It's only that way because we want it to be that way. Confrontation is it's an illusion, but it's available if you need to learn that lesson. It's there for you to take 100% part in.
Right?
Let me touch on that a little bit too. I would say also in that situation, allow your heart to lead you instead of your ego. So once your heart, because the heart is filled with with love. So when you're using that, it diminishes your ego. No matter how much you want to, express your feeling about the situation or this confrontation, always allow your heart to set forth, and in that, it will remove you from the confrontation, just like Maury said.
Thanks for that. So, Brother Kazat, can you describe your understanding of the divine or higher power in your current belief system?
Wow. It's listening to the brother speak before me, it's like so many what we call downloads. And so many paradoxes. For those who are watching, look that word up. Example, venom kills, but venom also heals. That's a paradox. But all paradoxes can be reconciled. And it's dealing with the polarity. So I asked the creator to give me the right words, because no matter what I say, it's a distortion. I'm a human being, I'm a soul in a physical body. So I can only capture based on my understanding, and being a physical being expressing spirit, it's gonna always be distorted. That's every human being, or those that I've met, or those that I understand. So my understanding of the okay, I'm gonna speak paradoxically. There's a source. That source is the full and total expression of all that there is. You can call it the void. Or some people will say nothingness, but when you think of nothing, you're still thinking of something to some degree, which is a paradox in itself. But that void, all of the total expressions of this void brought forth in love and in light, the fullness of expression of itself.
Right.
And that expression of itself is the creator. So it's the source and not the source at the same time, because there's the source and it is the expression of the source. Some would say the spirit of God. Some circles we call it the son of God. But it's that light that emanates from that void. In Kabbalah, we talk about the Ein Sof. And from that light comes all of the different emanations and dimensionalities of all that there is.
Come on.
So we're talking about ones and zeros. The zero is a placeholder of no thing. And the one is the full expression of the zero. And from that one comes all the other digits that we call numbers, but they're all just clones of the one. I hope everybody's following me on that. A 1 plus a 1 equals a 2. And they only go up to 9. And then it passes back through a 0, which is another expression. It starts another expression, another phase or dimension. So the thing that we deal with is the concept of, we're not the creator. And I know there's people watching this and they're like, we're created beings and created things and so on and so forth. And you're not wrong.
Right.
But you're not right either. It's both.
Right.
We're spiritual beings having a physical experience. And as a physical being, you exist in it's finite. This existence is finite, but the soul is infinite. And that soul emanates from the source or the creator. And it's things that we're going to get into in time. And you're going to understand that some of these understandings of the creator are actually creators or more expressions of the one. And we fell into worship of these things. That's why they say, Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh is a man of war.
Right.
And then somebody will explain that away and say, "Oh, that's just an
idiom,
or it's a parable."
Right.
You could be right, but again, it's a paradox. It's a man of war.
Right.
This may be a man that doesn't look like you and I.
Right.
So, like the brother said, the creator is all things, all expressions, and at the same time, it's not. So that's my understanding of the creator. And I'll say this. When I look at, and this is a hard thing because you're dealing with ego, or you're dealing with your persona or your personality, the construct that you created to have this physical experience. When I look at every human being, I have to tell myself that there's a piece or there's an aspect of the source in that person. And the more words we put on them, this is an a-hole, this person gets on my nerves, this person is dumb, all these different things that we come up with, it's really looking at the expression that they're serving you with so that you can work on yourself.
Come on.
That's the gift of the creator. Being that to bring out in you who you truly and what you truly want to express. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. That's good, I know.
But then I will come back.
Come on.
Because I'm listening to what you're saying. So for me, can you break down in your words the difference between viewing someone's or your internal ego and projection? Or do you view them to be the same?
Say it again.
Ego versus projection.
Explain when you say projection, what do you projecting onto somebody else?
Right.
It's I want to say paradox, but I don't think it is. A lot of times who we are, we project on other people. So it might be in the let me say the interesting thing is that because we're so powerful as creative beings, as aspects of the creator, we create the reality or to perceive the reality and how we choose to perceive it. So if I got something going on with me towards somebody else, I'm going to always, for the most part, project me on them, for starters, until I do my inner work. So if I may lie, cheat, steal, look down on people, look up to people, then situations and circumstances will present itself to mirror that back to me. So, man, why are they over there looking at me and laughing? Are they making fun of me? They think is it because of this shirt that I didn't think looked good today, and they making fun of my shirt? So now I'm projecting out something that's going on with me, my insecurities, onto these people, because at the end of the day, I have no enemies.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And that's a hard pill to swallow, but I have no enemies. I have reflections that have been given to me to work out how I want to function in the earth and how I want to deal with people. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does.
Okay.
I hope it answered for the people.
I hope it does.
Good.
You touched a lot because I'm on meditation before.
Yes.
So, and it's okay, and Malak, you have to. Are there any specific rituals or practices that are important in your belief system?
Trust that if I put forth effort towards something, that it's going to work. It's a saying, whether you say that whether you say you can or you can't, you're right. So I've always been a person that say, if I'm going to do something and I put my mind to it, I do it. It's just a matter if I'm going to maintain doing it or it worked this time and I fall back into whatever my other routine is. So, say the question one more time. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Are there any specific rituals or practices that are important in your belief system?
Yes. I was saying that to say consistency, persistency, and discipline. For lack of better terms, discipline yourself. Right. It's gaining discipline, and it's one of those words that a lot of people don't like to hear. But all discipline is do you get up and brush your teeth every morning? Sometimes you may forget once or twice, or you're in a rush or whatever. I forgot. But do you generally brush your teeth every morning? And you're like, well, yeah, of course I do. Well, discipline yourself to do something else. I do affirmations. And even more so, I'm really big on looking in the mirror in the morning as I brush my teeth and telling myself, whether audibly or mentally, I love you. I've said that before. I write my affirmations down. Sometimes I go over them. Sometimes I don't. I don't try. I pray every day on rising and going to sleep. I do certain, they call them meditations, but in my Reiki practice, I do trauma healing, and I do just general healing of myself before I go to bed and when I get up in the morning. I like to read certain scriptures in my prayer book before we leave, Modeh Ani.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the day, I try to stay prayerful. I keep saying try. I do. And I always, for the most part, ask myself in random times of the day, how do you feel right now? And I get as still as I can in that instant. It only takes seconds, and see how my body feels, and see what thoughts are flowing through my mind. And is this a good day? How does a good day feel? Is this a good day? How do I feel right now? How do I feel towards and I look at people, and I'm like, man, I'm supposed to love you. I'm supposed to love you. I'm supposed to love you. And then I see how I feel about loving all these people, these fat people, these skinny people, these big head people. And I'm a human being. I could put these analogies on people, so nobody get offended, because we all look at people and say, man, that's an interesting looking person. And I sit here and I go through, I'm being funny and serious at the same time. And I'm like, wow, this is really a beautiful thing.
Right.
We're not all the same. We come in different shapes and sizes, different skin tones and complexions, different ways of thinking, and it's really beautiful. It's one of the daily miracles of the Creator. So I find what works for me. These are the things that works for me. And I find that within even the last in the last 20 minutes, it has changed how I handle any situation, every situation. And I'll leave it there. Did I answer your question?
You did.
Okay.
So, Kane, what you got?
It's gonna go in the same line of Moray's here. Meditation and prayer, and I think prayer is the big portion of it for me. Now, do I do all of these things every day? No, I don't. Sometimes I get up and I go. Sometimes, I hit the bed. Sometimes I don't do these things. But I would say a lot of meditation, and a lot of prayer. I want to touch on this too when I'm answering this question. I have an aunt that has a ministry. She's kind of, I want to say she's a Christian anymore, but anyway, she has a ministry, and her ministry is all about prayer. And I didn't get that years ago when it's all about prayer. She said it to me, it's all about prayer. And I didn't get that at first, but now I get it. But I'm glad she placed that seed there, and it grew. But other things came along with it and helped it grow. So I would say yes, prayer, meditation, affirmations. At this point now, my wife, or my Isha, she puts things on the mirrors in the bathrooms. Affirmations and stuff. You are beautiful. I love you, or stuff like that. So, and when she puts them up, she don't realize that I go in there and I read them when she puts them up, because sometimes she'll change them out and she puts them up there. And like I said, I go in there and I read them and things like that. Also, what I do, this probably just me. I don't think the brothers up here do it. I try to spend 33 times, 3 times a day. And also and I would say this is really key, being a walking prayer and a walking meditation throughout the whole day, which is tough. I'm telling you, that is tough, but it can be done. I sit back and some days I do it, some days I don't do it. Like I say, some days I just don't do it. But some days I try to focus myself in on those things, being a walking meditation and being a walking prayer.
All right, Malak.
Yeah, and because it's tough, one thing that I do is I put all my stuff on note cards because I forget. Right, like my day starts very, very early, and then before you know it, it's already lunchtime.
Yeah.
Right. I might be able to get a prayer in. I might not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, more or less, it's more of the things that we've already described, right? But to hone in on some practices. For me, there has to be a continual practice of not being in conflict with myself when I'm praying. Because you could pray for something, right, and not believe the prayer, right, which it makes it ineffectual, because you have whatever you hold as the deep conviction, that is the totality of the prayer. Whether it works for your good or it doesn't work for your good, it's whatever you've attached the feeling to, not the audible expression of what you're saying. It's the feeling. And then another thing is that Zach touched on discipline. Another element is that the only reason why I don't see certain things is because I choose not to see them. You know what I mean? So that's the truth. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. Right? And that's working through a lot of the practices that I need, right, to develop as a soul. So there are things that my soul comprehends that my mind is trying to reconcile. You know what I mean? Because and again, it goes back to that. I think you said that still voice earlier, right? That still voice is one with the truth of being. The mind deals with the logic, the linear, the linear components of like what you're dealing with. So again, like the brother said, praying, being a walking prayer, meditating, right? And even in that, right, you got brothers that's sounding boards. You know what I mean? For the things that you might be dealing with. And I think that's there's value in that as well. So
Okay.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Really quick. And gratitude. Oh my gosh,
Oh, yeah.
gratitude.
Yes.
Gratitude will take you a long way. In your moments, if anybody's watching and you get into like a pitfall of thought, depression, whatever the case may be, start going over what you're grateful for.
Yes.
Like, man, it's
Yes.
like it's so much to be grateful for and thankful for. It could be little things, man. Thank you for dishes. I'm making it up, but
Right.
this is real because it's people that don't have dishes. They eat it. They might get something and eat off a napkin or something. Thanks for the chairs in my house. Thanks for the roof over my head. And just start going and bring yourself up, man. It's that goes a long way to be grateful. You know what I mean? Because it's easy to find things that
To slip.
it's not even slip. You just go look at something, man. These curtains or whatever, the color could be a different color, and you could just go into
Right.
thoughts, because every thought you have is your directed energy, and we have
Yeah.
to be mindful of our energy. So gratitude actually starts bringing your vibration up, and when you're in that upward space, your creative ability to manifest things or create things or call on the creator to bring more loving and light into your life, it increases. So that's all I want to say. Gratitude.
I love it. You all touched on meditation, prayer, gratitude, all these things that contribute to where you currently are. They say, whoever they are, it takes 21 days to create a habit. However, you're talking about discipline. So what advice do you have for people to develop discipline when they're trying to create their own rituals and practices?
I'll give you an example. Like, take exercise. I know we don't like this phrase, but all you got to do, right? just show up.
Right.
When you show up, just take one step. When you
Right.
take one step, right, then you'll take the next one, right? Develop some understanding that, as you mold yourself through discipline, right? 100% today may not be 100% tomorrow, but that doesn't mean that it's not 100%, right? If you take the concept of victory, even small victories are still victories.
Right.
Right? And they contribute to the victory.
Right.
Whatever that is. Right? So if you're if what you're dealing, excuse me, let me put this, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to put this thought together. If you wish to obtain discipline, take the first, just show up. I can assure you that it's waiting for you there.
You finished with the thought?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, bro.
I was gonna say kind of like what he said, but it's all in moment to moment, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. like he said, take the first step is very important. And your 100% today may not be, your day tomorrow may not be the same as your day today. You may have worked a little bit longer. You may have picked up children. You may have to, but if you just give it 100%. And pretty much that's what he said. But I'm going to add this: forgive yourself.
Right.
It's okay if you had intention or you started and you couldn't finish. Don't have let me be mindful of how I say it when I say perceived outcome. I'll say this for myself. In spirit, when I started really going very deeper into understanding of spirituality, religion, so on and so forth, it's almost like we start getting into our idealization, meaning you start imagining what it's supposed to look like and imagining how it's supposed to be expressed through you. So you start creating these illusionary or imaginary wicked points. Oh, when I'm a understander of the scripture, I should look like this. And oh, once I get to that part and I start studying a little bit more, then it should look like this. Get rid of all these preconceived notions.
Right.
And just show up and do what you do. And this is how it works. I asked this question to anybody watching. When was the last time, if you're an adult, that you played with a toy, an action figure? Like you went in your room and you played with your own, not with your kids. And tell me when the day that you put that thing down.
Right.
And for a majority of people, they probably can't answer that question because you're going to look back and say, I don't know, I just stopped playing with toys. That's the same way it feels when you start, doing the spiritual work. As you develop your discipline, you're going to get to a point where you're like, whoa, I just realized I don't do this anymore, or I do this now, or people start telling you things. And you're like, whoa, I never even paid attention to that. I really don't. It's just going to happen. You just got to stick to it. And again, be easy on yourself.
Right.
You are having a human experience. It's okay.
Right.
Have fun.
Yeah. I would add to it as, and let the audience know and everybody else to know, there's no such thing as failure. When people tell you that, I don't know what they're trying to accomplish, but there's no such thing as failure. There is only experience, what you get from it. So if you go into these meditations or these affirmations that you want to do every day, and like you say, you don't do them, like Adon said, don't beat yourself up over it, because that's going to be your downfall. Once you start downing yourself, I would say that's the worst thing can happen. But I'm not worried about nobody else downing you. I'm talking about you, because once you do that to yourself, it hurts you more than a neighbor calling you out on something, because it's deeper. It's inside of you, and it's coming from inside of you, from somewhere. I don't know. These thoughts, like Adon said, these thoughts come through to you, and they're not yours. Sometimes you got to let them jokers just go. No, I didn't do 20 push-ups today, or I didn't get to meditate today. Don't beat yourself up. There's no, even if you try, one day is an experience. And even if you went into meditation and you just couldn't get it, is an experience there. So the next time you go in, you would know, okay, well, I'm gonna do this time and see how it is and how it plays out. It all comes down to experience. That's what I would say. Experience, being dedicated, and not beating yourself up over it. It's all an experience. No such thing as failure.
Yeah, that's some good advice. Me knowing all of you personally, I've seen you do things that come across so effortlessly. And one would say, or start to compare themselves to what you all do, not understanding that it's a journey for you all too. So, in you all making the comment of don't beat yourself up, I think that's one of the easy for media, giving that advice to say, take it one day at a time, one step at a time. That's good.
Yeah.
So, shifting gears just a little bit, how does your belief system approach the concept of morality and ethics?
It's a good question.
That's a Moray Malak question. You could take that one first, though.
I think Zach got something brewing in over there.
It's brewing, but it's like it's paradoxical because the first thing that came to me is like, oh man, I stand on the Torah and the principles of the Torah, and as a foundational, yes,
Right.
as a foundational, yes, but as I walk the walk and go through my experiences in life, it's certain things that have shifted in my paradigm of thinking. You know, as far as how do I accept people. You know what I mean? And it goes back to, I think we talked about it last time, like my understanding of love. It's like, you know, they say do unto others as you will have them do unto you. I guess unless you're
Right.
wicked in mind, I don't know. But that's not, I can't sit here and tell you who's wicked. I could just discern that, okay, that's probably not someone or some place that I want to be around or things that I want to do. So I would say morality, it's a from a legalistic perspective, it's some structures laid down in the Bible or the scriptures, right? But then there's things in the current times and the conditions that we live in that my experience has caused me to change the way I look at things. You know what I mean? I say it like this: the way God expresses through me, all human beings are human beings, and all should be treated as such, fairly, with love, with light, and kindness. First and foremost, without judgment, and just look at them as a blank slate, like the divine dwells within that person. Now, when they start showing you something different, that's when you start using the spirit of discernment to say, listen, I probably need to stay away from this person, because you could actually feel energies, because everything is energy. You could feel the energy, and you can feel the opposite of that love and the opposite of that light coming off of different persons, places, and things. You can feel it. It's just you have to learn how to discern you. So going back to it, we live in the United States of America, and there's a lot of laws. And I know it sounds very cliche, but I move with the spirit. I move where the spirit takes me.
Right.
You know, I use the guidance that has been partitioned to me. And that may look a lot like a lot of people, and it may look very different to many other people.
Right.
So I don't know if that answered the question, or if you want to ask some more specifics on that.
I have one, but I'm gonna let everybody answer first because I got a feeling you all are gonna touch on the same thing.
Okay, run that question back. I'm sorry.
All right. How does your belief system approach the concept of morality and ethics?
Wow. I was like a don. I think mine's come from the Torah, or what they would call the Bible, 5 books, Moshe, or however they want to explain it. I understand that first, right? But in my journeys and in my walk, if I understand that all things is the creator, where is the wrong at? That's what I have a question with, is when I come to a situation of when to make a discernment to separate these things, which I can't separate because it comes from the creator. All beings are the expression of the creator. So when a person does something that's contrary to what I understand, I have to question certain things. The first thing I'm looking at is a lesson in it. Who's getting the lesson? Who's the lesson for? Is it for me to get this lesson? So when I look at certain things that certain people that may say, well, this that's bad, or that's not good, I have to look at it as being one with the creator, or the will of the creator. And then there's some other things that I understand, that sometimes you come here just to do those things, to experience it. And, in that's a deeper conversation that we probably will have to have, which probably we're going to have it sooner or later. But there are situations is when you decide to come here, a lot of people may not even think or understand that they decide to come here. You come to experience certain things that's laid forth throughout your journeys, and you have to experience them. So if a person decides to come here and say, okay, well, I want to steal a candy bar, that's what they're going to do. They're going to have that experience of, stealing a candy bar. And they might say, well, and I want to get away with it. But some come and say, no, I don't want to get away with it. I want the penalty, or whatever the penalty is for this. That's what I understand it is in these things. But my first understanding is from the Torah base, or a law base, or what have you, like that. But I understand certain things. They're all lessons that we have to get while we're here.
Okay. So coming from a Torah based understanding or a sense of being one with the Creator, when it comes to discernment, for a person that is new to their spiritual journey, but what would you recommend when it comes to learning and identifying discernment? So I'll say, like, for me, I go to my Ish a lot, or I'll reach out. Well, I have him reach out to Kazat for me when it comes to discernment.
Right.
Because a lot of times I question my own self on, is this discernment? Am I misjudging this? So for someone new to their spiritual journey, what would be your advice on discernment?
Right. I would say it's tough. That's the first thing I would say. It's really hard, especially when you first come in and you kind of understand. Stealing a candy bar is not good. What they would say. That's your first thought in mind. But once you start to discern the matter, well, do the guy have diabetes and he don't have medicine and he need that sugar intake? But you ready to lock the brother up for stealing a candy bar when he trying to save his life. These are the discernments, or the things that that are tough to understand for certain people. Or was the guy hungry? Or was his mother having a diabetic episode and they needed that sugar? I don't know these things. So I have to discern the matter on why. Or I don't even want to ask the question why. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just let it be because there's a lesson in it for me, for them, everybody else that's involved in it. It comes down to a lesson and what we want to experience. That's how I would break it down. But I would say for somebody that's really just coming into that period, it's going to be tough for them because they have a perceived notion that that's wrong or that's bad. When you didn't even look at the other part, his mother might have been dying from not having sugar, and he ran in the store, got the candy bar, and took it home without even paying for it. And I'm gonna touch on this right here. I seen a video one time. A seagull walked into the store, took a bag of chips, and walked out. Am I supposed to persecute this bird? Yeah, that's what he did. The seagull went in there just like a human being would go in there and take the bag of chips. And he walked out the store without paying. No, he didn't got no cash. Am I supposed to shoot this bird and kill him? Or prosecute this bird? We got to look at these things. These are the things that you have to, discern the matter. Well, why did maybe the bird was hungry.
I'm interested to see the comments on that one.
Me too.
So, because coming from a standpoint of being one with the Creator, what would be your advice to someone on this new spiritual journey trying to decipher discernment?
I don't give advice. I share perspective.
Okay.
But I got.
What would be your perspective?
I'm just translating the language. So I'm really saying like the same, but it's really advice is like people take it and do it, and then if it doesn't work for them, they'll say it's your fault. I give perspective. My perspective is I'm still learning how to, I'm still learning how to trust my discernment, because in the how I've come to learn the trusting of the discernment, it kind of contradicts what people tell you in the Torah, and it's going by your feelings. People say, "Oh, feelings." The facts. People are talking about feelings. We're talking about facts, and the reality is, your feelings or your emotional state is actually, I don't want to say emotions, but your feeling, your body, actually is your God-given ability to discern matters. So I'm gonna keep it simple. And this is if you know your baseline. Focus right here. Your heart. Everybody home, try this. Take a couple deep breaths and then just relax, right? And I don't know if you guys buy books, purchase some type of drink, candy, whatever, and hold it in your hand and just say, how do I feel about this object? You can do it with books, because I think everybody here likes books, but you can do whatever and see how you feel about this thing in your hand. And you could do it, like I said, with any object. Just go around and hold it and just breathe in and relax, and then just see how you feel in your heart. Restriction, constriction, tightness, so some type of shift where you kind of like, no.
Right.
But if and try to breathe to that feeling, see if it still feels a little constricted and tight. If it feels, you breathe and it feels relaxed and open, it's like, okay, this one. Or you're weighing the matters. You're weighing two things. You're feeling. When things are aligned for you, you have a freeness about you. I can't speak for a murderer, because I'm not a murderer, or any kind of what we will all conclude is an act of violation of free will. I'm going to say it like that. I'm not going to say wrong. A violation of someone else's free will. Or just breaking some of the general laws that we have, stealing and so on and so forth. And I'm going to share something with y'all. When I was a young boy, I used to steal things, toys from the store, living in New York City. And the feeling of dread that came over me when I picked up a toy and tried to stick it in my pants or whatever, it's almost like I had to keep doing it and bypass that feeling to be a thief. You have to bypass something within your being, your natural feeling. And I tell you, it didn't feel good. It was a feeling of dread. Now I understand what it is. In my later years, it's a feeling of dread. It's a tightness. It just don't feel good. And that's me. I can't speak for anybody else. So we do have an innate ability to sense how we feel about things and discern things. So I would say start with small things.
Right.
Test yourself with small things. If you think about buying a meal, you don't normally eat it, or you've been told already this ain't good for me, and then you start contemplating eating this thing, you'll feel should I eat this? And you start just even asking those questions.
Right.
Is you telling yourself, like, you questioning it? Why you question the question? Well, why am I questioning it? If I really want it and it's good for me, why don't I just eat it? Because it ain't good for you.
Right.
So I don't know if that helped.
It did.
Yeah.
Hope it helped the people. Welcome back, Brother Malak.
Right on.
All right, you ready for the question?
What's the
How
question?
does your belief system approach the concept of morality and ethics?
Yeah. So morality and ethics, I think they one and the same. They work interchangeably, right? So, morality is oftentimes described in a way where you gain some type of awareness about what people call good and bad, right? But as we explore that concept a little bit more, it really just comes to a point of understanding the spectrum of analysis. Like, okay, well, this works, this doesn't work, right? ethically, right, based on what you gain from that experience, your conduct or your behavior, um, it either trends towards more of the positive side or it trends more towards the negative side. Until you get to a point where you're balanced. So taking what we learn, what we share, and what we've experienced in the fourth principle is really just extracting that measure of understanding, right? And applying what we've learned, right, to better understand where we land on the spectrum of what people call good and bad, which is really just one experience, right? The conduct is neutral until you start feeling the essence of what's going on, right? So either it's going to feel balanced to you or it's not going to feel balanced to you. Either you can think clearly or you can't think clearly, right? Either you can progress or you don't progress, right? Those are the sureties that you can glean from, right, as you walking through what we call an experience. You're going to tell yourself that. So in other words, this works for me, this doesn't work for me. So engaging in frivolous banter either it works for you or it doesn't. Right? Either you can handle confrontation or you cannot.
Got it.
So, how has your spiritual belief system influenced your life and personal values?
I mean, tremendously. You want quantification?
We do.
All right, say the question again. Please, ma'am.
How has your spiritual belief system influenced your life and personal values?
I've gained a tremendous amount of influence from what I hold as I'm gonna say my trust system. I'm gaining an awareness to trust myself more. I'm gaining more of an awareness to value my own opinion because it was God given. Understanding that there is no separation in that relationship. I value the trust that's there. It's helped and it's continuing to help structure how I perceive things inwardly. And because of it, my life is trending to become more balanced. If you'd have known me like in my early 20s, I probably was a little off center back then. Very, very, very emotional. Just imbalanced in how I perceive things around me. Right? But taking into consideration where I'm at now and what I've gained from my trust system, and having these brothers in my life and stuff like that. As my aunt used to say back in the day, you don't gotta sweat the small stuff as best as possible. I try to work on that one a lot, right? Because it really is small stuff.
Yeah.
But it's available for you to make it big stuff if that's what you wants to do.
Facts.
But yeah, I mean, and I'm grateful, right, that I've stepped outside the box to gain perception, because I'm sharing, right. I have been someone who wasn't really interested in seeing the other side of things. And when you deal with balance, right, seeing the other side of things is discernment. It's getting between the matters, right? And circling back to this idea of the question, the elements, the core elements that I've gained here, right, it's helped me with discernment, because it has taught me that in order for me to obtain a certain level of discernment, I have to be available to the communication within my soul. So like you can be going just 100 miles an hour, right, and be completely detached from the inner communication, because like stuff is just happening. We become,
An automaton, like a robot.
yeah, and you process information through the limited ability of the senses, the sensory world. It's not a full spectrum. It's limited. It doesn't go the extra mile, if you will, but the soul does, because the soul always knows. So I've learned, right, we kind of build upon all these principles that we've talked about, right? You got to be available to those terms of awareness within. So in doing that, it's helped me a lot, and it continues to help me.
So, with all that you've gained, you specifically touched on perception and discernment, and you started the conversation talking about how you were in your early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Have you used these things that you've gained to then go back and revisit or repair any of those relationships that may have possibly been damaged?
To the best of my ability, I did. Yeah, I mean, as best as I could, I did try to do that. And even in that, it took some awareness on my part to understand that everybody is where they at. And when you go and you offer to make restitution, right? You're offering a gift, and once you give the gift up, they can do whatever they want to do with it. It's not up for you to it wasn't up for me to try to control the narrative, but I had to release myself from the shackles in that instance.
Shackles of guilt.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'll repeat the question
Yes, please.
just in case you missed it. Zokane, how has your spiritual belief system influenced your life and personal values?
Woo, man. Let me tell you, I'm with a dome. Is up there, especially now, and where I sit at. Is it has helped, and actually, I think it even helps my household down to my people that's not even in my household. I think it helps because I'm not that guy that I can be. Sometimes I still let it out, something just to let them know, yo, don't play with me like that. You know what I mean? But I would say it helps a lot, and I would say that knowing that you can be anything you want to be, that helps me. That should help anybody. You can be. Don't let people tell you you can't be anything. Nothing. You can be whatever you put your mind to be. And years back in the 80s, they used to say these things. I won't listen. I did what I wanted. I would do what I want to do. I'm not listening to these people that say, bro, you could be the president of the United States if you want to. I won't hear it. I'm like, bro, stop. Now you can't be that. Yes, you can. If you put your mind to it, you could be that. You could do anything you want. It's just a matter of if you want to do it or not. If you're gonna put in the dedication, the time, the sacrifice, if you want to do these things or not. So when you're in that kind of a space, it helps your confidence. It puts a spirit within you to say nothing can stop me. Only you can stop yourself. That is it. You're the one. And I would say that's where all leads for me. You can do what you want. You can be whatever you want. You can move how you want. And I've seen it play out time and time and time again throughout my life. I would say this: nobody has stopped me from doing anything that I wanted to do. Nobody. The only person that stopped me from doing something was me. Nobody else got in my way.
Okay.
You know, some people would throw, well, the white man, he put this barrier in front of you and such and such. No, he ain't put nothing in front of me. Because I'm going to either go around it, go over top of it, go through it, or go under it. It doesn't matter. But it's up to me to break that barrier. He didn't stop me from doing anything. Nobody. I do what I want to do. And even in that space, nobody can tell me what I can't do and what I cannot do. It's only me. It's only you. This whole life revolves around you and you don't even know it. But you got to have the discernment
And awareness.
and the awareness
And the
of
consciousness.
what's going on in here. These other people that's out here, you created everybody. I created my brothers. I created my sisters. I created them to be around me at this particular moment and this particular time. No, brother, the creator did. You're right. You're right. The creator did do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's who it be.
I recently read a quote that said, confidence comes from being prepared.
Ooh,
So, what would be your perspective that you would give to the people on what they should do to be prepared or break those barriers that you were talking about?
be diligent in yourself. Know yourself. Know who you are. Know what you want. Know how you want to move. Don't worry about what other people say to you. Do not worry about who's there or whatever. You know, nobody. Trust me. Do not listen to these people. Listen to your inner being. Your inner being will tell you yes or no. And like you say, how you understand that point, and that's when you start to connect. You may be born with those abilities. Some people not. Some people, or let me say this, they're born with it. They may shut it down just to have that experience. To say, oh no, it was racism why I couldn't get ahead or why I didn't get that job. I'm black because, that's why the police shot me, because I was black. No, he shot you because you had a gun. For real. We can sit here and say all of this stuff that they want to say. No, you got shot because you got a gun. Now, not saying that some people don't get shot without guns. Not saying that. But what I am saying is you are the experience that you want to be.
I'll give it to you because
Uh-huh.
how has
Versus
your
the world.
spiritual belief system?
Whatever that may be, whether it be my family, and friends, the military, then my particular group or job field or area in the military. Then it's my, the church or the assembly and my people in the assembly. And it's just like, wow. All that is just illusions and illusions and illusions of ego. My spiritual walk has brought me to a place of understanding love and accepting people. Just on the merit that it's just people. Versus they're supposed to look a certain way, they're supposed to act a certain way, they're supposed to do a thing a certain way, and I'm just more accepting. It's like my that the point I was making with, family, friends, your job, and the people in your particular group in your job. It's like that has expanded from just a particular group, race, nationality, creed, to just like, man, people. And it's just so beautiful, man. And it's changed my interaction with people. I feel like I could go anywhere. It's like the sky's the limit if I choose to go there. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's based on me and my choices and where I want to go and who I want to be around and what I want to experience. And most of which we perceive as negative things is usually through anybody that might be close to me. And I said it's a perception. Because they may bring it to me as a negative thing, and I'm like, okay. But my okay is like, I care, but I'm not concerned. So it's a lot of things going on in the world that I care because I care about people. But I can't get caught up emotionally in these things because it's not my immediate experience. And I know some people, they think like, well, I pray for people in the world. I pray for the homeless, the orphan, the sick, the needy, the widow, the war and, war torn, impoverished or whatever. But it's nothing you could send money, you could send care packages, you can do all these things. And that's your choice if that's how you want to be. But if you're just talking about it to complain and point out that it's happening, right, and you're not being uplifting, a solution. Mm-hmm. Prayer is a solution. It helps. It's an energy and a vibration that goes up with other energies and vibrations that's going up to blanket whatever that situation may be. And some people don't think that way. They think more material. Well, I'm going to send money. Well, that situation that you're experiencing, whether it be on TV, because a lot of times you're watching the news about it, or some social media, that experience is something you drew to yourself because you went and searched out whatever you're looking on social media, right? And then it popped up in your feed. So you went and looked for something. And that came up. So evidently, something within you on some conscious level attracted that to you for you to express who you want to be based on the situation you're experiencing. Right. So having that understanding, for me, it's changed how I look at anything that happens. When people bring me information, I know I don't know the whole matter. And I think it was The Mandalorian, and I don't know if I'm saying this right. I don't know if y'all watch it, but for those of you that watch it, it says, one should not speak unless one knows. Right. Oh, you see that guy and what he did? And you listen to somebody go on and tell you exactly what this person did and why they did it and what they probably was thinking when they did it. And I'm like, but you just saw a news bite or a clip on TV and how do you? Right. I'm like, I hear you, but I don't know that. So how I handle matters, situations, experience people, how I deal with people, how I love people, how I accept people, based on where I am now, is completely different than it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Right. It's different. Yeah. So it's experiential. It's not a belief. It's what I've experienced. And that's the difference. People believe things and sometimes they believe it, but they don't. Well, I say this. They say they believe it, but they haven't experienced any of that construct of belief. I've experienced it. So that's how it's helped me. It's helped me to love. And in that, find a balance, and as a brother said, a balance in accepting of a lot more than I would have in the past. A lot.
Yeah, you said you're getting back what you're putting out, and then you specifically talked about like your feeds, your social media. That's exactly what it is, though. The things that you're searching for, that algorithm then turns around and pops those things right back on your feed.
Can I add something to that?
Right.
There's people call it New Age. You know, it's in the Bible. It talks about as a man thinketh, so shall he be. The algorithm of on the computer, right, is the physical manifestation, or what we're experiencing is the physical manifestation of something that is already spiritual. It's just showing you physically what you already do anyway.
Right.
So if you back in my clubbing days, you always got the friend. You always have that one friend that's like, man, I wish I would. And they go to the club or on outings to look for something to happen.
Right.
And
right.
guess what? A lot of times when you with that person, something happens.
Something happens.
Because they looking for it. They're putting the energy out. Man, I wish somebody would. And then there's somebody that like, oh man, I wish somebody would. And guess what? That energy brings that attraction to a situation of altercation.
Right.
And just like an algorithm, as we call it in the physical world, it's like it draws to you what you're putting out.
Right.
What you like. If you like these shoes, you may have ordered them 1 or 2 times, and these things communicate with each other and says, oh, you would probably like this.
Right.
Let me see if she get that right there. Let me see if he get that right there. So this so-called law of attraction is just a principle of what you focus on. You put energy and you put that energy out, and it brings back to you what you're focused on. If I'm not focused on war, I'm probably not going to really see it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm not saying that there's not a war is happening. But for most people who are not focusing on, let's just say, the war in Ukraine, guess what? I've had times I'm like, dang, they're still having that war.
Right.
And somebody like, man, this brother must be naive or whatever. That's just what it is for me.
Right.
It's not a part of my.
It's not in your awareness.
It's not in my awareness and my experience. I may be experiencing residual things, taxes, gas prices, whatever, but we deal as we deal.
Going back to what you said pray for all people. We've had this conversation on a personal note before.
Right.
But it takes me to my next question. How does your belief system address the question of human suffering?
Okay. I got this one.
You got it, brother.
All right. And we might have to focus on this because I don't even think whatever it is that I'm given right now to speak right now, it will capture the whole thought. So in my understanding, or some would say belief, is that we all, no, I'm not say we all, a lot of us have been here many, many, many times. And what I mean by that, some people call it reincarnation. I've heard people say regeneration, which to me is just another word to relabel reincarnation. And I'm not talking necessarily about being a dog and a cat. I'm talking about human beings.
Right.
We share, let's just speak of myself, right? And I'm trying to construct it to make it make sense. Imagine in your mind, draw a line on a piece of paper, straight across the paper. So that's a horizontal line. And then above that line, draw a sun, a circle, right? Now that sun or that circle exists outside of what we considered space and time, which is that horizontal line and below, right? So now draw, let's say 5 rays coming from that sun and arching down into the line, touching the line, right? Wherever each one of those 5 lines land, think of that as a point in time. So if you go from left to right, let's say from the BC times to the current time. So the 5th line will be 2023. Each one of those lines represents a soul, right? So these souls are experiencing different situations and circumstances as different people or personalities. They can only reckon what we call time and space, meaning happenings in a linear perspective. Now, the sun or that circle, which we would call that the over soul or the higher self. The higher self is having that experience in the now moment, meaning everything is happening right now for that because it exists outside of space and time. So now, The one in 2023 is let's say goes against a past life regression, hypnosis, whatever. They will see and say, "Oh, in my previous life, this happened to me, and that explains why I'm afraid of heights." Because in the hypnosis pulled out of me that I fell off a mountain and died, whatever the case may be. Right. What I'm saying is it's the law of cause and effects. The law of cause and effects does not start in this lifetime. It starts in previous lifetimes, and this is a culmination of what has come before. However, it's for some people that really doesn't matter because they may never get this information that I'm telling you. So they would deal based on the things that are happening in this lifetime, meaning they may have some trauma, some childhood trauma, social issues, so on and so forth that they have to work through in this lifetime. Does that make any sense? So say the question one more time so I can bring it home.
How does your belief system address the question of human suffering?
So human suffering is actually a cause and effect matter that one could say it's dealing with things and situations that it's so hard. It's kind of hard to articulate.
I got you.
That you manifested on some conscious level from the oversoul to your incarnation to say, I need to experience this to learn X, Y, and Z. And not only that, it may culminate from something before, but unless you have someone like me, a psychic, a prophet, or someone to explain this to you, you will only deal with right now, what's happening to you right now. So it's not a point of, oh, why would God let this happen in the world? Suffering. Us human beings, we are the manufacturer. Is that the right word I want to use? The manufacturer or the creator of human suffering.
Right.
Did you want to add something to it?
Yeah. By way of desire.
Yes. It's choice.
Yes. So desire begets more desire. And then there's an attachment to whatever the expectation is. And if that falls through, there you have suffering.
And there's a lesson in suffering.
There's a lesson in suffering.
And for the person who's experienced, well, not even experiencing the suffering that somebody else is going through, we may empathize with the suffering.
Right.
That suffering that's happening, how can I say this, away from you or from whatever you're viewing, gives you an opportunity as a soul to experience how you feel about whatever that is that we call suffering.
Right.
And then it's also an opportunity to say, what am I going to do or what can I do to maybe help if that's your calling?
Right. And that's where the framework of discipline comes in. Right? Controlling desires, right, to mitigate suffering. I want this. I have to go learn this. I have to go do this. This needs to be this way. And then when it doesn't, now you have opened your awareness up to the inverse of when that doesn't happen.
So you mean how you feel after your expectation doesn't play out the way you want it to?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you also talking about like wars and things of that nature? I'm asking you based on the question. Or are you just talking general suffering?
General suffering.
Okay. And it goes down to the same thing. A lot of wars are fought over egoic.
Control.
Our control.
Control.
Our culture, tribe, family feels that this is the way things should be done.
Right.
And this family, tribe, nation, whatever you want to say, feels that, no, this is the way that things should be done. So these are governed by who the people elect to speak for them, right? On some level, whether by force or by voluntarily choosing. So they're actually a part of the collective saying like, well, we want to experience X, Y, Z, what happens when we clash with these opinions and matters.
Right. Right.
And then the fallout is every person on the planet, this is why we're not separate. every person on the planet experiences something from that situation, whether directly, meaning I'm right there on the ground fighting the war with the guns and everything, to the family. You start moving away. The families that's being affected by a bombardment of their lands and properties, maybe starving. Then you back out a little bit more. Prices are going up because that region has certain commodities that other nations may need. Then you go back even more. Well, I don't really feel the effects like that. I'm watching it on the news, and it's just so sad to see these people walk around naked, bloody, homeless, and so on and so forth. And everybody, whether directly or indirectly, as the earth consciousness, deals with this choice that in some way or form, on higher conscious levels, we've all chose to experience.
Right.
Again, directly and indirectly.
Right.
And you play a part depending on how you want to direct your energy now to the healing of the collective.
And you know what, Adon, you'll see that in whatever that leader is, because that leader is the embodiment of the collective conscious expression.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So they all trend on that linear wave, right? And then from that emanates the one, but the one is really the all.
Right.
And in that is the, it's the playing out of the amalgamation of consciousness.
Mm.
So it's all of that bottled up in one, right? And generally, right, when the collective consciousness is destructive or deviant in its, behavioral patterns, right, so follows the physical manifestation of that thinking pattern.
Right. And people don't understand that it's connected to earthquakes.
Right. It's connected to
tidal waves or tsunamis. Yeah. All of these things play into it. We're not separate from anything.
Right.
And that's only because the majority of people do not extend themselves past the limitation of the senses.
Mm.
So, we would say, well, you know what? That's a natural disaster. Yeah, you're right.
It's the natural consequences of thoughts,
right,
and ideas, and constructs and energies.
Because just as a point of reference, right? What was it? What conflict was it? During in the 70s when everything was about peace and love and all this other kind of
stuff.
Vietnam, right? You
60s
had
to the 70s, yeah.
60s to the 70s, right? You had two different spectrums of thinking.
Right.
You had a wave of people that was all about loving everybody.
Right. And
right.
Then
you had a wave of people that was all about
going to war.
Yes. Right. And they had two totally. They were on the same spectrum but opposite ends of the spectrum.
Fourth principle.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, it was going on. Cats was getting it in.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And those people who might feel, they might be in the military, they might be, they might be in all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you got people like, no, bro, it's all about love, man.
Right.
Come give me this hug, man. Let your hair down, bro.
Yeah.
It's all. Let's get in the van, man.
So that's a good example of why both. I keep saying both, but it's really one thing. But it's expressed on this plane that we're on. It's expressed in what we call duality. It's expressed that way,
right? Because
you have extreme poles, and those two poles or apparent poles clash with each other. A war generates people who want peace. Too many peaceful people. You have the people that's a contrary. We're too docile. We're too soft. We're too weak. We need to build more warships, not peace ships.
Right.
So it's all these things play on the psyche and how we express it out into the world as a collective.
Right.
I know we said a lot.
Well, I'm gonna just say a couple of things because y'all hit it right on the nail. Just one thing. You have taken forth from the tree of the good of the understanding of good and evil.
Yep.
That's what that scripture is talking about.
Scripture or archetypical story of the consciousness of man and the duality of choice.
Of his thinking.
Of his thinking.
Of it, yeah. 100.
So when you done that and take part in it.
Right. You become as Elohim or God.
Or God. Man,
we gotta work these things out in order to return or to resurrect to our Christ consciousness or Christ.
Exactly.
What is it? Golgotha? It's skull?
The skull.
The skull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I think
So,
we were on one.
yeah, we was on one. We hit it with it.
you hit me with it. Okay, I'm gonna hit you back with one.
Uh-oh.
Who is fourth principal? I'm going off script.
Oh, who is fourth principal?
For a moment of transparency, we look at you all today, what you've been through, where you're at, who you know yourself to be, all these things. Can each of you tell the people about something that was possibly a stumbling block to you and how you were able to overcome it?
Go ahead, brother.
I'll go first. My wife. And when I say stumbling block, it was
First or second wife or no? I want to know.
both.
Ah.
But I'm speaking of my current wife.
Gotcha.
Yeah, our union has taught me how to love, unconditional, unselfishly love, and it's challenging. It's challenging sometimes, but in it, it's man, it's almost like even to say that it's excluding everybody else. But I focus on her because she's been like the biggest influence, if you want to say challenge, because it's like, man, if I'm reading this book and you know the scriptures and I'm transitioning into this whatever this is, because I don't know what it is, and it's like, man, I'm supposed to provide, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that, I'm supposed to do this. Am I being taken advantage of, or like what is this? And I realize it's like, yo, a lot of us are together based on what we can, you know, it's a paradox in this. It's like we are together based on what we do for each other. You see what I'm saying? You know, when I'm weak, you're strong. When you're strong, I'm weak, right. Or so on and so forth. We're there for that, but it's a different way of looking at it, man. It's like, listen, sometimes people that are, and I don't like to use the word weaker per se, but are not capable in certain areas are put together with people that are capable in certain areas. And sometimes people look at it like, well, you know, I watch a lot of these these podcasts now
about relationships,
right, and it's about like, well, I'm the catch, I'm the man, I have the job, I have, you know, that's right. I'm not gonna say his name.
High value.
Say again.
High value
man, and right. So on and so forth. I deserve a high value deserve a high value woman, and it's the case. The question is that what you came on earth to do?
Right.
Based on those intellectual, which is very limiting, these intellectual constructs on how to navigate the earth, is that what you truly came to do, is to be a high value man, to get a high value woman? Or you are exactly where you're supposed to be at the level of consciousness that you are? And sometimes you are given assignments in the earth to be with certain people. Sometimes you may be with them for too long. That's facts. But you're assigned to certain people to show them things, and they're supposed to show you things. And I think that in my situation, it's like, it's a lot of things that if I didn't get into the relationship with my wife, I may not have been on the path that I'm on now, because she's such a free spirit. And I'm such a, you know, the Torah says, or the scripture says, and you know, the pastor, the moray, the rabbi, or whatever, these are what it says, and this is what the law says, and boom, 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 boom. But how does that relate to love?
Right.
How do you take something that's unlimitedly given to you by the Creator and says, hey, these parameters says this, if you do these things this way, how this book tells you how to do it by instruction, and everybody doesn't agree on it, this is how you love somebody back. That was challenging. Ooh, I got goosebumps. Yeah. That was the most challenging thing, because my intellectual beat the books, get the answers from the book mind was conflicting with the spiritual, my heart. That's my biggest challenge.
Right.
And I think that's unique because I think that's a linear pattern with the souls that's together, as far as like the group.
Okay.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Because I say I had, open myself up to this vulnerability.
She said vulnerability.
Right.
Transparency.
I've been married twice. Right. Look at it, you know, my family out there tripping. I've been married twice, right? But my
That's interesting.
my latter relationship, right? It's had the most value in my life, right? And I got two opposite ends of the spectrum when dealing with people, based on like what I was thinking at those times in my life, right? And very similar to like what you mentioned. I mean, my wife would tell you, if she called me the super Hebrew back in 2015. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like super Hebrew.
I think we all got that phase.
You know what I'm saying?
It's just a matter if you get out of it or stay in that phase.
Well, that's right. You know what I'm saying? Because what happened is that here's what I learned. No lie. The soul is not meant to be restricted. In fact, another soul has not been given to me. I'm only in control of my soul.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And what I learned through all of that, the more and more that I was trying to say, listen, like, babe, your soul need to be like this, right? And you need to be expressing it through the lens that I'm telling you that I'm the way that I'm seeing things, right? The more that I did that, the more that it crippled the relationship.
It's like trying to hold water in your hands.
Right. You just don't do that.
Right.
Well, you're not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna hold water in your hands. But it's not meant for you to do that either. You understand what I'm saying? So like, after going through some cycles of that, right, and what I saw, what's the word I want to use? You know, something that grew on me fundamentally is like I was beginning to become open to why family structure fails. Because instead of nurturing the gift of what the soul provides you, right, you try to restructure something that is not meant for you to restructure in that sense.
Right. Control.
You know what I'm saying? Like, she is who she is for a reason, which again, if you know me, you know what my life was like back then.
Right.
And if you know me now, right, and you know, it's been the longest stable, right, relationship that has grown. The other ones, like, they was just, you know, I think we talked about it before, right? Not, you know, from the male perspective, right? Not every woman you come in contact with are you supposed to deal with them in that way.
In that type of intimacy, right?
Some of them is just like, you here to just, hey, look, like we might work together or something like that. I'm here to show you
Counseling,
something,
friendship.
right?
Right.
But if you take it there, right, it's available as a pattern of learning for you.
Yes. Say that again.
If you take it there, it's available for a pattern of learning for you.
Right.
Right. And it can, listen, it can go some places. 100% it can go some places. But what's necessary for your consciousness sake and the development of your soul, right, it's gonna come to you.
Can I just throw something out there?
Yeah.
For those who's watching, good, bad, or indifferent, your decisions are not wasted. Every decision that you make is a lesson.
Right. And you know what? I seen something not too long ago. I can't remember all of it, right? But the dude was like, he was asking for, like, I think it was a priest or something. I don't think if y'all seen this before, man. But he's saying like he was asking for like patience and stuff like that, right? So he had to he incurred, you know, difficult situations to discern through.
Right.
Right. Or, you know, if you want to love, you know, you might get people that's they difficult to love. Right. You know, from the side of consciousness that you stand on. You know what I'm saying? Not because fundamentally they're a difficult person.
Or you're being punished. Some people think that things that are happening to them is a
Right.
punishment.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But once I learned how to, once I opened myself up to who Kia was as a soul, things became a lot easier for me.
Facts.
So, like, you know, I had years of being built up a certain type of way, right? Which it hindered my perception. Not because, you know, she did anything wrong. You know what I'm saying? She came in my life at the, you know, at the appropriate time. And this isn't, you know, what I'm sharing with everybody here right now. This ain't something that I grew up sitting on the couch talking about.
Right.
Or I picked up the book and, because it's not a chapter and verse for that. At all. Right? The expression of the learning came through the interaction with Maisha.
That's a highlight.
Yeah.
The expression of learning comes through the interaction with people,
Yeah.
good, bad, and indifferent, as we perceive.
According to how you perceive.
It says, once you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
They change.
Right.
Say it again.
Once you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
So, you know, the bottom line is it ends and it starts with you.
With you.
Right.
Not, hey, look, you need to, you know,
I wouldn't be this way if you didn't.
yeah. You know, it don't stop the things that we'll make up to make it fit.
Right.
And sometimes I'm conscious of it. Other times, you know,
Yeah, we're human. We fall
You
into
know?
forgetting.
yeah.
You want to give me
me to-
that again?
I was about to say, you want me to repeat it for you?
Yeah. I think I got it, though. Who is the fourth principle, right? That's one of them. Let me
No,
ask.
I was asking
That was
for a moment of transparency.
Oh, okay.
And
Gotcha.
I asked
was the
you
most difficult.
what has been a stumbling block for you and how did you overcome it?
Right. I'm a little. I think my path is a little different, but they're one and the same because I've been married twice too, which is interesting when they both said that. So
222.
yeah. So I would say not because the brother just said it. I had thought about it before this. I would say that it's me who was the stumbling block in relationships, especially in relationships. Basically, I'm the one, right? Because at especially my first marriage, what I understand now, I could have made it a whole lot better. Even though we were better. I was married for like 20 years, over 20 years probably. So it could have been a lot better if I know what I understand now back then. And what I know now with this current wife is I know how to love now. So at this point, I know how to love now. So I can't be the stumbling block now because I know it's all going to fall on me. Now, looking out at other people's relationship, if you're not, you could say you love people
All day.
all day long. And I can show you, and I'll bring it right to your home front and show you that you don't. All from a control base, number one. You can't control nobody. You may be married to them on this planet, but you can't own souls. Nobody can own a soul. You're the same thing. You're the same thing as that soul is. You cannot own that person or that spirit or that soul. You can't because they're here to do something maybe greater than you. Or the same thing as you. Or to get you to love better or to understand what love is. And if people sit back and look into their relationship they're mirroring each other. So why not love what's in the mirror? If you can't love what's in the mirror, who can you love? Or who love you? Because if you looking in your mirror, if you don't love yourself, it's a problem. Go ahead, Adele.
Just a little tweaking on it. It's you're looking in a mirror and you're seeing something you love or something you hate.
Hate.
And if it's something that you hate, it gives you give me a second. It gives you indication that there's something in you that you need to change.
Right.
It's not about them
Right.
at all,
Exactly.
but it's about you.
Exactly. And I'm gonna let me tell y'all something. Really go listen to Michael Jackson, The Man in the Mirror. Listen to that song.
We're gonna play that mug on the way home.
Yo, listen to the song and what he's saying. Yo, Mike was on it. And a lot of these songs have it in it, but we just singing along. We're not really paying attention to it or what we really need to understand what love is. It shows forth in a whole bunch of music you may not even agree with, but it's there. And you have to, that's your main purpose here, to love. It's to love because that's all that exists is love. Like they say, God is love. That's the only thing that exists is love. So why not love it? Whatever the situation may be. I think we was talking about certain sufferings. It's not suffering. It's only learning and teachings going on. But we're so intellectual, we're gonna put a name on it. Oh, that's suffering, brother. That's trauma. No, it's not. It's a learning situation for you. They put names on these things, and now we agree with these names or these terms that we put on them. Nah, that's not love. That ain't even love. When you telling people they going through some stuff, oh, that's trauma, brother. No, it's a learning situation, brother. What you getting?
Perspective, boy. It's perspective.
See all these perspectives. I can bring it to you.
I like it.
So it's love. And like you say, my stumbling block is basically myself in a lot of, especially relationships. I've hurt people before. Like you, I think you asked the question to Moray. Did I have an opportunity to make some of them things clear? And I have a different perspective. Yes, you can go to that person if you can find that person and tell them or what have you. But you also can pray, get in meditation, and ask for that soul or that spirit to be present with your soul and spirit, and ask that soul
For forgiveness.
for forgiveness. Yes. And the next time you around that person,
It's a completely different
it's
energy.
a totally different
Yes.
energy.
But emet, in truth.
Love. I'm always look at yourself as being that person who wants to bring love to the world. If you don't want to bring love to the world, maybe you might want to start over. I don't know.
Well, the thing is you gonna keep going through it till you do.
Till you do right. Exactly. You're gonna keep regenerating or reincarnating until you really get love within your system, your whole system, or your whole being.
We're all doomed to success. I know some people don't want to hear that. They want people to be punished and people to prosper.
You're not going to hell, people. Unless
Only if
you want to go.
There you go. Only if you choose to go to some place they call hell.
Oh, it's
on you.
Yeah, it's available if it's a part of your consciousness.
Yes.
It's there.
It's there.
Interesting, bro.
Sis?
Well, I have enjoyed myself.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. It was glorious.
I thank you all for allowing me to come out again and
Oh man, I like you.
put
I
on
like
the
you.
podcast with you.
Right.
Don't let
Thank
it be
you.
too long before you let me come back.
Oh
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
All right, I'm gonna turn it back over to you all.
All right. Thank you, sis.
Yes, indeed. Good, lovely. I want to give a shout out to the other brothers that's not here. Seafood Mike and my man Denzel. Man, we miss y'all this week. But praying that all things is going 100% with you guys, and we love you.
Yes.
So the next time we see y'all, is on and popping.
I see. Sifu. He hit us up in the text. I didn't reach out to him this morning, so
Okay.
I don't know because I was go, so I didn't have
Right.
opportunity to call him. He didn't call me, so I just assumed he couldn't make it. But
Right.
you know,
We'll see him next time.
love and
Ain't no
light.
thing. Much love, fam. Hope y'all got a lot out of this. Stay tuned, man. It's a lot more to come.
A
Trust
lot
me,
more.
y'all.
Shalom, shalom, and namaste.
Shalom.